everybody, welcome to today's edition of the CrossFit Games Update Show. I'm Sean Woodland with Pat Sherwood, and look who's back, a woman who needs absolutely no introduction, Miranda Oldroyd joining us, and we are honored to have you.
I mean, I don't even know how to respond to that type of introduction. I'm excited to be back. Maybe not as excited as you are, though.
Yeah, you are classing up the joint. Usually just rank amateurism up here, but we're taking it to a new level. If you have been watching the leaderboards out there, you've noticed that things are shifting around quite a bit. That's because invitations went out last week, and there's some rule changes that now affect who is going to the regional competitions as an individual and as a team member. The rule change this year for teams is that if you have an individual competitor who's going to the individual competition, that person cannot contribute to your team score. So after people declare if they're going individual or not, the leaderboard then reshuffles so the teams that have people who are actually going team get to go to the regionals, and this really makes for a great competition.
Yeah, the leaderboard really is valid, right? I mean, in the past you could have some people lurking in there that messed it up, but now when you look at the leaderboard, these are the teams ranked based upon the individuals we will see compete.
The other thing that's cool is there could potentially be some teams that were on the bubble of not having a team at regionals that may have a team that their affiliate can go out and cheer for at regionals. It's pretty cool.
The invitations did go out last week, and as we were watching these accept or declines come in, there were some names that were pretty surprising as far as people who we thought were going to be shoo-ins as individuals decline their invitations. And the big one here, 2010 Games champion Kristen Clever decides that she's going to go on a team.
Yeah, that name jumps off the list, right? And I got to be honest, it saddens me a little bit. I mean, if this potentially, or last year's potentially the last year we're going to see a former champion compete as an individual, that kind of breaks my heart.
Two things. I can't think of a better teammate to have than Kristen Clever.
Sure, yeah.
I'm not convinced it's the last year we'll see her as an individual. She told me that going team was not necessarily her idea. They had one of their teammates from last year who recently had a baby, Lisa Ryan. They placed 7th at regionals last year, and I think they kind of pulled Kristen aside and said, hey, we think if we have you on our team, we can make it to the games. And she jumped over, and they do. They have a good chance of making it.
Solid addition to your
Clever
team.
is the most notable woman now, but is there anybody else on that women's side who said, no, I'm not going to compete as an individual, who kind of surprised you?
Yeah, another woman would be Michelle Crawford. She competed in the games for the first time last year, but she tried for several years to qualify as an individual. Finally made it last year. She placed 33rd. You probably remember her from the zigzag sprint. She absolutely dominated that event. She's jumped onto her team, Rising Orange. They're currently first place in the Mid-Atlantic region. So again, another team that looks like they have a great shot of making it to the games.
On the men's side, we saw some pretty impressive list of names there as well, but who's the one who surprised you the most?
Dude, like your body double, John Parra. The guy is just jacked out of his mind, and he's going to be going team, which is a huge deal. This guy's a former Games individual competitor twice, 2011 and 2012. Back at the SoCal Regionals in 2012, he took first place. He took last year off. We saw on social media he's got a 400-pound overhead squat. So he's not just the display model only. All those muscles actually do amazing things. And I was just down over the weekend in SoCal, and I talked to Kenny Leverich, and Parra is one of the names that came up as, hey, this is a serious guy that could take one of the top 3 spots. So with him gone, that's a lot of SoCal guys breathing a little easier.
There's obviously a lot that goes into that decision to whether or not you're going to compete as an individual or as a team member. And we have someone here who recently went through that. So why did you make the decision to go team when you've had so much success as an individual competitor?
I have been competing as an individual since 2008, for crying out loud. I'm just
a dinosaur.
An antique at this point. No, I've never thought about going team until this year. During the Open, NorCal, there was some talk about putting together a legit team. Pat Barber is also going team with me. And, kind of got talked into a little bit. I'm now really excited, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be different, and we do have a good chance of making it to the games, which will be great to have a team from NorCal, not just individuals.
Well, we do have some athletes who are going the opposite direction, athletes who competed on a team, and they said this year, all right, I want to try the individual competition, and 2 of them are from Hackspack, Hackenbrook and Conway, both saying we're going to give the individual competition a try. So now that team has been pretty much disbanded, and that puts a different spin on the team competition moving forward. So who are the teams, and we'll start with Miranda here, that you're going to be watching at regionals to make some noise?
Well, of course, since I'm now competing on a team, I've got my eye closest on the teams from NorCal. And CrossFit 808 from Hawaii is a legit team that I think is going to come back again even stronger this year. There are 3 female athletes, all just placed top 10. in the Open. They were 21st at the Games last year, and they've added a new guy to their team, Adam Jamieson, who was just 9th in the Open. So I expect them to come back stronger, and they have a great chance of being second in NorCal.
Oh, shot across the bow.
The gauntlet is thrown.
Yes. Well, how about you? Who are you going to be watching on the team competition at regionals?
I've got a favorite, and they sound like they're from Canada, but trust me, they're not. CrossFit Fort Vancouver. These guys won the whole thing back in 2010. They were your champions. And how is this for a resume bullet? They've got 3 top 5 finishes at the Games. You can't get much more legit than that. And while some other teams kind of have a revolving door of athletes based upon injuries or different goals or whatnot, these guys have actually retained most of their members again and again, so they've got a squad of veterans that's coming back.
That is it for us today. We're back tomorrow breaking down the Masters competition as that heats up. Those workouts are released later this week. For Pat Sherwood and Miranda Oldroyd, I'm Sean Woodland, and we'll see you here tomorrow.